Welcome to Triumph. We're here at Hinckley. We're here with Triumph's new Speed Triple 1200 RS. This is an exclusive look at the bike for the first time. We're also here with Stuart Wood, Chief Engineer of this stunning machine. Now, I just want to go through a few key points and a few quick questions, if that's all right.
Of course,
go ahead.
Absolutely.
So the first one, we've had a look at the specs and we've had a look at the data. It's massive improvement over the old model. And normally when we get a new model, it improves by 2% and it's 1 kilogram lighter. And this is, let me get it right, is at 180 PS. So it's 30 PS more than previous.
That's
and
correct.
Overall, it's 10 kilograms lighter.
Correct.
And a massive saving of 7 kilograms on the engine.
Correct. But a larger capacity engine
Well,
as well.
Exactly. You've gone up in CC, you've gone up in power, and you've gone up in capacity. So you should go up in weight, but you've dropped it by 7 kilograms and 10 kilograms overall. And from an engineering point of view, just to lose 7 kilograms off an engine that's got the same capacity is quite a feat. So how have you managed to get the bike so light?
A lot of attention to detail. This is a completely new motorcycle. Every component, so engine and chassis,
Yep.
it's new. The engine, as we said, 1160cc.
Yeah.
So that's 10% up on the
Yep.
previous model. 20% up on power, 30 PS more. So we've gone up from 150 to 180.
Yeah.
Pistons are larger.
Yeah.
90mm pistons instead of the 79mm pistons. So overall, you'd expect a bigger package.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
A lot of detail. We've got a barrel block now here, which allows us to Siamese the bores and keep the overall width
Oh, right, I understand.
down.
Yeah.
okay? So overall, this engine is smaller in every dimension
Okay.
and much shorter front to rear because we've now got a stacked gearbox as well.
Okay. So the advantage of making the engine small in terms of dimensions means you can make the engine lighter. But you've also managed to make the engine rev more and create more power as well.
Yeah, and deliver that power to the road. So every component has to be stronger,
Yeah.
more durable,
Yeah.
yeah, and appropriate for that extra performance.
And let's just talk a little bit, I mean, we'll come back to it. Let's talk about the chassis, because you've saved 7 there, so you must have saved 3 elsewhere, which is obviously an incredibly difficult to do on a naked bike, because you haven't got much things, you know, it's not a giant tourer where you can move the girders of the luggage. So how has the chassis changed compared to the previous model?
Okay, there's a lot of attention to mass centralisation,
Yeah.
optimising the position of components. It's even allowed us to save mass on wire lengths.
Oh,
okay?
really?
So we've had that sort of level of attention to detail.
Yeah.
So overall, as I say, everything is new frame, swing arm, subframe, wheels. Frame 17% lighter.
17.
17,
Yeah.
okay, but still hits our stiffness targets for handling and precision. It's basically all about attention to detail. The mass centralisation, which gives you the benefits on handling, performance and agility, also gives you benefits on compactness. We're focusing on smaller components wherever possible,
Yep.
and lighter weight. All of these things give a natural mass reduction as well.
And in terms of geometry, the rake and trail is same as previous. The wheelbase is the same, but is the rake and trail?
No, the wheelbase is the same.
Yeah.
You've got to think of the bike always as a whole,
Right.
okay? So we've got a lot more performance. We've got 26% higher power to weight ratio
That's colossal.
than the outgoing model.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Is it? And I also read that it's twice the original 94 bike.
Absolutely. That was interesting when we reflected on it to realise we're at twice the power. Twice, yeah.
And that wasn't like a slow, you
No,
know, we're not
no,
talking the 1920s. That was
No,
94.
that was a
remember-
fun bike. That's
Yeah.
what generated all the excitement
And the racing.
about the torque response, the racing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They were fast bikes.
Yeah.
And we are twice that now.
So we've got all that performance, and that needs to be managed by the bike. We've actually relaxed the headstock angle a small amount,
Yeah.
and we've increased the trail. Now that's a static measurement. You've got to think that's just a static measurement. How the bike actually performs on the road or on the track depends on other things, other parts of the geometry. So for instance, we've increased the swing arm pivot height a little
right,
bit,
yeah,
gives you a little more anti-squat. That controls the amount of squat at the back end of the bike.
Yeah.
So when you're driving out of a corner, you're not lifting or raking out the forks as much.
Yeah.
So that slightly more relaxed angle isn't actually what you're feeling when you're driving out of a corner, for instance.
Yeah.
So you've got to think of the whole bike. So the static numbers, yeah, they're points of reference, but they're not the whole story at all.
And the mass centralisation is the movement of the weight further forward and lower in the chassis.
And to the centre of the bike. It's about trying to package everything as close as we can so that it'll rotate quicker and roll easier.
And stability as well, I guess, on brakes if the weight is further forward. We've touched on the engine, we've touched on the chassis. What the next, obviously, step, because we're in 2011, is the electronics. An IMU, and we have 5 rider modes, a new 5-inch TFT dash, traction control, which is obviously lean sensitive for the IMU.
Yep.
Cornering ABS,
That's
is
correct.
lean sensitive.
Yes.
The slide control is connected to the traction control, but is not changeable. Is that correct?
That's right. It's not separately changeable. It's part of your traction control map.
Right, okay.
So you can select what you want. And if you want to, you can switch your traction control off.
Okay. The traction control, how many stages?
You've got rain, road, sport, track, and off.
And off. And then the engine brake, any engine brake assist?
The engine brake assist is appropriate to the throttle map that you choose.
Okay.
Because again, you've got rain, road, sport for your throttle maps.
And you can obviously change that. So for example, if you're using rain, you can reduce the traction or add the traction. And
absolutely. There's a rider configurable mode as well. So you can build your own mode.
Own
your
fun
own
mode, which might be traction, for example.
Absolutely.
And the braking is obviously cornering ABS, which will change in the modes.
Yes.
But there's something that just highlighted was the brakes are linked. Is that correct?
That's right. Now this is new on Speed Triple.
Yep.
The ABS modulator we've got allows us to electronically control the rear brake when you apply the front brake, so we can map that.
Yeah.
What we always do with our electronics is ensure that the bike feels completely natural. We don't want any of our electronics to feel intrusive at all with your ride. So it's all about improving the ride for you. So being able to apply a small amount of rear brake when you apply the front actually helps us with the ABS algorithms to get closer to the limit quicker.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are using this to improve the performance, reduce the stopping distances without it being intrusive.
And that is in every mode, even in the track mode?
Yes.
And it's front does back and not back does front?
That's correct.
Just
absolutely.
Front does back?
Yep.
The quick shifter is standard, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a new system.
And that's been slightly derived from the Moto 2 project on the sensitivity, is that correct?
Yeah, we've got a different sensor now. The actual sensor that's attached to the gear change lever, there are 2 sensors in the system. That sensor is new. It's now, it doesn't just switch at a set point, it measures the force you're applying to the lever. Now with the Moto 2, this is a little digression, but Moto 2, we've learnt a lot from racing. One of the things is that we've worked with Magneti Marelli with their MotoGP engine management system. And in that, the riders are allowed a lot of adjustability. That adjustability allows you just to refine your gear change to suit you. Now, for us, we want to give the optimum gear shift to our riders. Our riders don't have the benefit of a backup team of technicians in a garage, okay?
Yeah.
So we do the setup for you, and you've got a very, very complex map for gear shift. For up and down gear shifting, you obviously have to be able to change gear by either cutting the throttle or blipping the throttle. The amount of the duration of that cut can vary. The amount of throttle blip can vary depending on which gear you're in.
And which
how
mode,
much throttle, how much, well, no, we don't need to do that in mode.
Okay.
We don't need to do that in mode, but we do it at different throttle positions. Okay? So depending on how much load you've got on the gears, you'll need different load to affect your gear shift.
Yeah.
And that's all seamless. You don't know that. It just gives you an absolutely silky smooth shift in any gear, any speed, up or down.
I mean, the shift on the old bike is great, so I can't wait to try this one.
Try it.
And then finally, you've gone quite radical with the tyres. They're, very track focused, which, for me, I applaud you for. And I can't wait to try it. But is there an option for different tyres for this motorcycle?
Yes, there is. We've got more track-focused Metzeler option, but we've got the Pirelli options for the bike as well that's recommended. So you can choose Pirelli Super Corsa SP V3s.
Perfect, perfect. So obviously it's a triple. We can't wait to hear it. We've got keyless ignition and a keyless fuel cap, which is always great. Any chance we can listen to this? Because I'm sure
why
it's
not?
going to.
Shall we?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Oh wow! Okay. Right. That is loud. That is stunning. And on the exhaust, I noticed there's a valve, not a. You've got two exhausts going into the end can on this side, and that extra noise, is that a valve opening to give it a free flow?
Basically, the valve allows us to tune this engine for even more torque. Okay, so we can tune for torque at the bottom end, and we can alter the valve and tune for power at the top end. So, yeah.
That just sounds amazing. It's a standard bike.
Absolutely, absolutely standard.
I can't wait to ride it. Thanks for your time, mate.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Cheers, Chad.